Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey, Startup Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup. I know you guys are used to hearing Katie do our intro if you're a regular listener, but today it's just me and our podcast guest. We have Kym Tolson here. Hi, Kym.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's nice to have you here. We're going to be talking all about telehealth insurance billing. And first off, I just want to say welcome. If you are a first-time listener to us, we want to roll out the red carpet and give you a big virtual hug. And we would like to gift you with our free paperwork course. And you can head over to our website, privatepracticestartup.com. Under the resources tab, you'll see our free paperwork course plus our free HIPAA form. That's a package deal. We'd love to be able to give that to you so you can ensure that your paperwork meets the legal and ethical standards in our profession. So take care of your paperwork, make sure that you're protected. And if you're a loyal listener, welcome back to another episode. If you didn't listen last week's episode, we had Monica and Hannah from Empowered Enneagram, and they talked all about the Enneagram. It was actually a part 2 of the 2-part series. So you'll definitely want to listen to that. And today we're going to be talking with Kym all about telehealth insurance billing. And I'm excited to dive into that. But first, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsor.
When you're in private practice, it can be tough to find the time to review your marketing efforts and make improvements where needed. Whether you're a seasoned clinician whose current website needs to be revamped or a new therapist building a website for the first time, Brighter Vision is here to help. By first understanding your practice and what makes it unique, Brighter Vision's team of developers will create you a custom website catered to your specific marketing goals. Better yet, they provide unlimited tech support to make sure it stays updated and professional search engine optimization to make sure you rank high in online searches, all at no additional cost. To get started for $100 off, head to brightervision.com/PPS. Again, that's brightervision.com/PPS.
There are so many ways to keep your practice organized, but Therapy Notes is by far the best. Their easy-to-use, secure platform lets you not only do billing, scheduling, and progress notes, but also create a client portal to share documents and request signatures. Plus, they offer amazing unlimited phone support. So when you have a question, they're there so you can get help fast. Get started with Therapy Notes today, trusted by over 60,000 professionals. Go to therapynotes.com and enter promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, and you'll get 2 months for free. Also, you can listen to episode 54, where we interviewed Brad Pliner and took an in-depth view into their EHR.
All right, without further ado, let's dive into today's topic. Kym, tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, so I'm a therapist. I used to be in a brick and mortar office, and I took Amber Lida's step-by-step course that teaches you how to be an online therapist. So I took that, and I was so excited once I discovered that you could actually be an online therapist. But I had one small problem, and that was insurance billing. I wasn't sure how to be all online and bill insurances. So as I launched to go all online, I also had to figure out how to, bill insurance for telehealth. So I spent the last 2 years figuring that out, and now I'm completely online. I've been online since last June, and now I've become sort of a digital nomad. So I've left my home state of Virginia, and now I'm living down in Miami. We just kind of packed up everything. We sold a bunch of stuff, and now we're just kind of moving around the country and the world and living as digital nomads, and I can still be a therapist and bill insurance. So that's kind of, what's going on with me right now.
I love to hear the term digital nomad. I've never heard that before. It's very creative. And you're actually in our neck of the woods down in Miami because we're in Fort Lauderdale.
Right. I was gonna talk to you about that. Yeah, we moved here in February. So.
Oh, fantastic. Perfect time of year to be down here. And then the whole pandemic has happened. So what's happening with your digital nomadness? in the midst of the madness of the pandemic.
Yeah, it's been on hold. It's totally on hold right now. So the beach has just opened up again, you probably know, on Tuesday. So we're pretty excited about that. We haven't even been able to really enjoy it. So we're going to just hang out here for a while until we decide to move on to the next place. And we don't know where that's going to be. We're thinking Alaska maybe for a little while, or, we're just not sure yet. So
how amazing to be able to have that flexibility and the freedom of being able to work anywhere.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really what I want therapists to take away from this. Like, you can see clients, you can bill insurance, and do whatever you want to do.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Mm-hmm.
Now, let's dive into the topic about telehealth insurance billing. I know that this is a hot topic and one that Startup Nation often asks us about. Katie and I both built our 6-figure plus private practices from the ground up, and without taking insurance. So insurance is not our specialization.
Gotcha.
And another reason why we love being able to have people like yourself who are very specialized in that area onto the podcast to be able to talk about the ins and outs of insurance. And especially now with the pandemic, with so many practices being primarily on telehealth, to know the ins and the outs and how all of that works is going to be great. So where should we get started?
Well, I thought since you're like private practice startup, I would first start by just guiding people a little bit through a decision tree I made. I included it in the resources, so you guys will have it in the show notes, but it's sort of a decision tree that walks you through if you actually want to have a telehealth practice, or if you want to have an all brick and mortar practice, or if you want like a hybrid. So there's some questions to help you along the way to make decisions about what type of practice you want to have. And I just feel like that's really important to figure out in the beginning if you do want to take insurance, because, it's going to influence which panels you get on. So some are really good about telehealth and some don't cover telehealth at all. So if you plan on, being in the office only, then there are different ones to choose from. So I would just recommend go through first before you decide if you're going to take insurance of what kind. Just go through the decision tree to figure out what's best for you.
And let's talk a little bit about that. I love how you have the decision tree helping people guide from the beginning to make sure that this is really the right path for them. What would be some of the main points and reasons why people would want to have an insurance-based practice?
Well, definitely you can get a lot of referrals that way. So almost everybody that calls me wants to use their insurance. So they asked me that in the beginning, and a lot of them are really happy to hear that. We pay a lot for insurance, so a lot of people really want to use it. That in itself just is like a big draw. And then the insurance companies, they also send a lot of referrals your way. So they list you in their directories online, and you'll get calls. I get emails all the time from the insurance company saying, hey, I have somebody that's got substance use issues or PTSD, which are some of my specialties. And they'll just send me clients that really fit into my niche because I've narrowed it down on their website. So that's a plus for taking insurance. And, I serve the substance use community. So a lot of them don't have a lot of resources to do private pay. So you want to, I want to serve underserved populations that can't really afford the big private pay out of pocket. Yeah. So
Perfect.
those are some big reasons for me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And then as people guide themselves through the decision tree and make that decision that they want to have an insurance-based practice or even a hybrid with some private pay and some insurance, what would the next step be?
Well, first I would just encourage you to ask yourself, do you feel like you need to physically be in the same room with your client? Some therapists really need to do that. They need to feel their client's energy and be in there. If you really need that, I would just go down to brick and mortar and try to stay that way. But then, ask yourself other questions. Is rent in my budget? If so, great. Then you're brick and mortar. But if you can't really afford rent, or you feel like your quality of life would be better if you could be at home some, so that would more lead you toward a hybrid type practice. And then straight up telehealth, if you don't feel like you need to be in the same room with your clients and you don't really miss that daily interaction with other clinicians in the office, and you really just love being at home, then I would say go straight telehealth. So once you decide which one, if you choose telehealth, that kind of leads me into a marketing strategy that I came up with, and I share in a course that I made up about insurance billing. And we can get into that if you want me to talk more about that.
Perfect. Yeah. And I'm sure as people are listening, they, especially after going through the unique aspects of the pandemic of so many people, some who didn't want to be online were forced to be online and found that they actually enjoyed it. Some just, it's too hard on their bodies and their necks and just not a great fit. And then for others, it is. So for those who really enjoy being online and really want to have that practice online, talk a little bit about how to build the telehealth practice, especially an insurance-based telehealth practice.
Yeah, so I would recommend before you get started a little marketing strategy, and that is just go to Psychology Today and filter out for therapists in your area or even in your state that are seeing clients online. Sort of read through their profile and see if they actually talk about like, hey, I'm a telehealth therapist. And then I would recommend just looking for people that kind of like complement your niche a little bit. So I'm substance abuse, but I only see, individual clients. I don't do family sessions or couples or anything like that. So I'm always looking for that. So I would say look for somebody that complements your niche and then, ask for a virtual coffee meeting or something like that. But in there, and also filter out to make sure they take insurance. And in that meeting, ask them which insurances are you finding that are covering telehealth the most consistently, and would you recommend like a top 3 as far as like highest payers go? So, it's like twofold there. You get to like market and network with people, but also you get to like get some really good insight into which insurances to go with in your state. And then I would also recommend going on all these Facebook groups. There's so many now for therapists, and just like typing in the question like, hey, who are your top 3 telehealth payers for insurance in your state? And just get some feedback that way. So that can really guide your decision. And I would say once you get those top 3, just go and start applying and start the credentialing process.
Yeah, market research can be really, really helpful. And I love being able to not only do the market research like you've suggested, but also make those referral relationships, because you never know if the person you're connecting to and creating that referral relationship with, if they are completely full, if they're looking for someone else to be able to network with, to connect and to refer to. So it could be that double benefit there.
Yeah, it's great. I do it a lot. I try to reach out like once a month at least to somebody new and make a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And I like how you talked about the virtual coffee, because if you're building an online practice and you might be networking with someone who isn't so close to you, so
right.
It's convenient and
Absolutely.
safe with the whole virus situation going on right now.
Absolutely. And you can, choose from the whole state for referrals if you're both doing telehealth, which is great. So I hope that tip helps a little bit.
What other marketing strategies have you found that have been really effective?
Another thing I do is I always try to get a client to sign a PCP form, for their primary care physician. And I will reach out to that physician and introduce myself and just talk about the client some. And also just ask the doctor, what are they looking for? What do they see a need for in their practice? And, let them know if I can help them with that. If I can't, I'll give them names of other people that I know can help them with that. So that's been really good. I've got quite a few like psychiatrists and doctors that consistently refer to me just from that little marketing strategy.
And just out of curiosity, I was going to ask you this earlier, but then we dove into the topic. You're currently practicing in Florida. You talked about going up to Alaska. And so how have you managed the licensure laws and needing to be licensed in the state where the client resides with your digital nomad lifestyle?
Yeah, so I've got an address in Virginia that I use. They're called virtual addresses. You can Google it. There are quite a few out there now. So I use that as my mailing address and my practice address. So it looks like a suite number. So basically, the insurance companies, as far as they're concerned, that's the address that I give them when I get credentialed with them. So I'm based out of there, and my mail goes straight through there, and I can just they scan my mail for me. It's HIPAA compliant. You can look in your mail. If you want them to mail it to you, they will. And as far as licensing goes, basically, as long as your client is located in the state where you're licensed, it's okay to see them. So you can be anywhere, which is really convenient.
And so you're licensed just in Virginia, or have you gotten reciprocity in other states?
Just in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that allows for you to travel around and have your full practice. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's worked out pretty well so far.
Fantastic. And I love how you're living your dream lifestyle as well. That's actually something that Katie and I talk about often in our private practice marketing e-course, being able to really build your lifestyle, your ideal lifestyle, and to create that first and foremost, and to choose a business model that really complements that. And you are like the perfect example of how you're fulfilling that. That's fantastic.
Thank you. I'm loving it. It's very exciting to just be able to go wherever you want. I love to travel. We used to travel about 8 weeks a year. So doing it this way, I can still work and I'm not having to like take time off without pay, all of that. So it's working out really well. I'm saving a lot of money too. No office rent, all that stuff.
Very true. And just out of curiosity, about how many clients on average do you see per week?
35 to 40.
Okay.
I'm definitely cutting back. I know that's a lot. Right now, I just like implemented a waiting list because I'm just getting way too many calls right now. But my goal, I'd like to get down to 25, especially now that I'm not having to like take off vacation time and pay rent and all that stuff. So that's what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah. So that's a lot to handle.
Yeah, it is a lot.
35 to 40. And your goal is to get down to about 25 a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about how you're managing all of the ins and outs of having an online business with, doing the paperwork for your sessions and the billing for the insurance and all of that. How do you manage all of those roles and responsibilities on top of your caseload?
Yeah, well, I use an EHR, so that's very helpful. I use Simple Practice. It has simplified things so much. Part of my story is I used to have an insurance biller that did everything. And I basically found out one day that they weren't collecting a lot of like back balances. They weren't giving me the correct information about deductibles and copays and all that stuff. So I did not know anything about billing insurance. I counted on them for like 10 years. And once I discovered this like back balance report, I was like, oh my gosh.
Eek.
So yeah, that's what prompted me to learn all this insurance stuff. And I was taking my practice online at the same time. So it sort of all evolved at the same time. But yeah, so I figured out how to bill insurance, and then I went to an EHR, and I'm just using Simple Practice. And once you get it figured out, it's pretty streamlined. It's literally the click of a button. Once you figure out who covers telehealth, what modifiers to use, what location code to use, how many sessions are covered, and then you could just literally click a button once it's all set up. So it's pretty easy. I'd say maybe on a really bad week with insurance, I'd spend 5 hours a week dealing with like, a denial or, having to call and check benefits and just getting the run around, that kind of thing. But on a good week, it's maybe like 30 minutes. So.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So about 30 minutes. And it sounds like the EHR helps a lot in terms of the billing. And once you figure out the system for all of that and you create the system, which can be kind of time consuming in the beginning, it really streamlines things though, to be able to free up so much of your time.
It does. It's amazing. And once I learned how insurance actually works, now I've got it. Like I know what to call and ask for, as far as benefits go. And, like I was saying, the modifiers and the location codes for different companies are different expectations. So once you figure all that out, you're good to go.
And how has COVID affected your practice with everything, with the insurance billing and just ins and outs of the pandemic and how that's affected things?
Yeah, I got lucky because I took it all online, as I was saying, like last year. So I only have accepted clients that I knew their policy covered anyway. I'm seeing a lot of problems now with people that, have been forced, obviously, to be at home with COVID, and they're like trying to figure out the telehealth billing. And it's weird right now because all the insurance companies, they've changed everything. So it used to be like location code 02 for telehealth, and now they want you to use location code 11 for telehealth and different modifiers. So the whole thing is totally been switched up right now. Luckily for me, I'm just acting as if these are just regular telehealth clients, so I haven't really been affected by it that much. But I have a telehealth insurance billing Facebook group, and in there every day people are like, oh my gosh, like Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, they want location 11 and modifier 95, but they're denying my claims. So it's kind of been a big mess for people. It has affected me in that a lot of the insurance companies are waiving deductibles and copays right now. So my streamlined system where I was like, oh, this client owes $25. I know they always owe $25. Is now the claims are coming back paid in full. So I'm having credits for clients, and it's kind of causing a big mess that I think in about 6 months I'm going to have to really straighten out and maybe issue some credits to people, or the insurance companies might come back and say, we didn't mean to pay that much. So it's kind of a mess for people right now, but it's not normally like that.
And it sounds like your Facebook group that you have is a wonderful place for people to get support.
Yeah.
So tell us where people can find that.
It's Telehealth Insurance Billing on Facebook. If you just Google that, or look it up, search it in Facebook, you'll be able to find it. And also we put it in the show notes, so you could just click the link and go there.
Exactly. I was just about to say that we add the links to the show notes, so that's perfect. You said it for me.
Great.
Yes. That's fantastic. So what else do we need to know about building the telehealth insurance-based practice online?
So I actually created an entire course for this. It just in my investigation and research and getting it all set up, I was taking notes. I had a notebook full of information, and I'm like, I need to make a course for this because nobody really knows how to do this. And especially in my situation where, I was just counting on these billers. My head was in the sand. I wasn't paying attention. And then I was shocked with a $12,000 back balance. Yeah, it was a nightmare. So, I was like, I want to put a course together for people. So I made a course that literally walks you through that decision tree I told you about all the way to the end where you're streamlined with all your systems. You understand CPT codes and, which diagnostic codes to use and location codes. If you want to go all telehealth, it's a really deep dive into that too, how to get your virtual address, parity laws, how to live in different states if that's what you want to do. So it covers everything you can literally think of. So I'd recommend that if anybody's interested in learning more about it.
About how long does it take for people to go through your course and to implement what they're learning to really get if they're starting from scratch with building a brand new telehealth practice, about what would be the timeline for that, just out of curiosity?
Well, I would say give yourself 6 months. Just because the credentialing process can be anywhere from 30 to 90 days just to get credentialed with an insurance company. And there's a little bit of setup before that. So there's filling out a CAQH, the CAQH database where you put all your information in so the insurance companies can pull from that. You got to decide if you want to get an MPI number, not an MPI number, but, if you want to be an LLC, a PLLC, there's all these decisions to make in the beginning. So a lot of that's in the course. I don't go that deeply into it because I know it's covered in a lot of other places. But there's a little bit of an investigation part, and then there's some action that's going to take about 90 days, and then there's getting the systems in place. So I'd say 6 months, you're probably good to go.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's
great. Well, I appreciate you sharing with us about your journey and getting your telehealth practice all set up and transition from your brick and mortar to online for your digital, digital nomad, right? Yes. I was like, what is the term? What is the term? It just left my brain for just a moment. It's so unique, the digital nomad lifestyle. This is something you've got to coin.
Oh yeah, really? Yeah. I think there's lots of people doing it out there, but yeah, I'm wanting to live that life. I love it. So.
Yeah. Well, what else would you want Startup Nation to take away from your message today?
Just, really think about if you want to take insurance, because I think it is important, even if it's just one panel you want to get on to be there for the clients. They can't always afford the private pay. And I would also say, get started now, because like I said, it takes a while to get paneled and get all the way up and going. So if you want to do that, you want to get your private practice going, you want to take insurance, just take action now, even if it's making that post in a Facebook group and just asking who the highest insurance payers are in your state for telehealth, if that's what you want to do. And also feel free to go to the Facebook group, and research it in there, because everybody's got great advice in there about telehealth in their states.
Fantastic, Kym. Thank you so much for coming on today. And just to do a quick recap, we started by talking about how to determine with your decision tree whether telehealth is the best practice for you and whether you're going to take insurance or be self-pay. And then also you talked about effective marketing strategies for how to find the insurance companies that really pay for telehealth, and then how to start billing for telehealth with the modifiers and location codes. And that's something that your course and your Facebook group really help people with. So we will put all of the notes and resources that you've talked about in today's show in our show notes. So definitely make sure to check that out. And to let you know about next week we will be having Elizabeth Olivares on to hear about her journey from registered intern into private practice this past year and how she has a thriving, successful, full fee private practice. We'll be hearing her success story. And we just want to thank you again for listening. We hope that you enjoyed this episode today with Kym as much as we did. And if you did, definitely let us know. You can subscribe, rate, and review our show. We always love when we get emails randomly from Startup Nation saying, hey, this episode was great. Or, hey, I would love to have an episode on this particular topic that we haven't talked about yet. So definitely let us know because we always want to make sure we're creating this content to meet your needs. We will look forward to seeing you on our next episode. And in the meantime, stay inspired. Thanks so much, Kym.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.